Hello English learners and teachers, and welcome to English Up. So far you have been introduced to the concepts of body language and teacher talk and their importance in helping you communicate with your students, make meaning clear, and of course helping them learn a language. Let's move and talk about something called scaffolding. The term scaffolding comes from the platform workers use when constructing a building, like those scaffolds, which provide a place for the workers to stand on before the building is in place. Teachers can provide guides and structures to help learners understand difficult concepts more quickly. The basic idea of scaffolding is to create opportunities for students to learn step by step, building upon tasks that will allow them combine those concepts together to perform more difficult tasks. So, how do you scaffold? Well, one of the key scaffolding principles in language learning is the idea for students to understand new and particularly complex tasks. You first have to model behavior. Let's imagine that we have some advanced students that are ready to learn how to use the passive voice. Well, it's a tricky advanced skill. So one of the best ways to teach this is to scaffold it. Generally, I will begin with showing them some examples of the passive voice, often in real contexts, and have learners get a sense of it. In order to better model the behavior, I would also break this process into steps and show those steps to my students. For example, I might show learners how to take the object from an active sentence and make it the subject. This is the first step. The second step is I might ask them to add verb to be. I would also probably only focus on the present tense, because using a lot of different tenses might confuse the student initially. And then finally, I might tell them to add the past participle after the main verb in the active sentence. I might also show them an optional fourth step, which is adding the subject of the active sentence using that by phrase. Now, after modeling the behavior to the students and showing them the steps, they are ready to move to the second step of the scaffolding, which is practice in a guided or controlled fashion. I usually try to provide clear instructions and sample sentences to have students create passive voice. Once again, performing each step within the process. First, I will have the students find the object, then they will add the verb to be, and finally, I will instruct them to add the past participle. After having done a guided practice, you are finally ready to have your students attempt an independent task. Sometimes if I see my students struggling, I may start from the beginning again by looking at readings with passive voice. Or maybe I will have them do more advanced guided practice with me. Perhaps I will have the students write their own sentences and share them with their partners. Scaffolding is not unidirectional, it's more recursive. It's a word that means I will go back and forth and do it again and again, breaking it down for the students and then giving them time to practice until they are comfortable with it independently. Model, guided practice, independent practice. Model, guided practice, independent practice. Repeat. I think that you will all agree that by putting all of the three techniques together, using body language, teacher talk, and scaffolding, that there is a performance aspect for teaching the language. A way to reach the learner through a deliberate use of the body, voice, and message. Thus, we can say, for a message to be clear, understood, and enjoyable, for language to be cake, a teacher must be, in some part, an actor. Thank you for watching.